Hey everyone, welcome back to Reason and Theology. So, several people are starting to report that allegedly Pope Francis on his deathbed chose Pope Leo XIV to be his successor. But is there any truth to this? Or is this just completely made up? Is this another one of those cases of an anonymous source allegedly said and it's just a made up story? Or is there any truth to it? We're going to take a look at that. But first, let's see what exactly is being claimed and you know, maybe some of the sources that originated this claim. So let me go ahead and share my screen and you can take a look at this with me. Um, the first article that I saw reporting this claim is from Intra Conclave by a Helder Red, posted on July 21st of this year. And it's a pretty lengthy article describing a person having a conversation with a cardinal. I don't see where the cardinal is named. I don't see where this person is identified or when this was. But it's a pretty lengthy conversation that alleges that Pope Leo the 14th was chosen by Pope Francis on his deathbed. I'll put a link to it in the show notes so you can go and read the whole thing because I'm not going to read it to you. It's pretty lengthy, but we do see others starting to spread this information, like complicit clergy is spreading this as of today, July the 21st. I'm recording this a day early, posting it July 25th. So today, July 24th, and they're just copying and pasting the part of the conversation with no further context, and posting this as if it's a real conversation, right? And so let's maybe take a look at it. It's called "Provost was Bergoglio, Pope Francis's only candidate. Your Eminence, how did it go? Is it true that Parolin withdrew his candidacy? Is it true that the College of Cardinals wanted to find a more moderate candidate after Bergoglio? My dear son, he said to me, you don't understand. Provost was Bergoglio's only candidate. Even shortly before he died, that stubborn old Argentine called all the cardinals he could trust and told them, I remind you, after me, it's the American's turn, a missionary and Augustinian. He will be the best for the universal church. So why those votes for Parolin? I tried to contradict him. On the first ballot, Provost was already ahead of everyone, far ahead of everyone. The black smoke on the evening of May 7th arrived so late that that holy man, Monsignor Cantalamessa, had overindulged in his spiritual exercises. Provost, as competitors, had to his left, led by the hyper-Bergoglians, told I call Bergoglians despite Bergoglio and beyond Bergoglio, namely Parolin, and to his right, the traditionalists led by Robert Sarra, supported Cardinal Irdo. But why Provost, I asked. Because Bergoglio was clear that after his pushback, a normalizer was needed, someone who could reassure the Curia even though he wasn't a member of the Curia, someone who could reassure the progressives even though he wasn't a traditionalist, and finally, someone who could reassure the traditionalists because he was seen as a moderate. This last thing was what worried the old pope most. He had a clear sense at a certain point in his pontificate. Schism had already come close. In short, someone was needed to unite, even a little gray, if you would like. But after the fireworks, a little silence is good. Look, he said, bringing his face closer to mine, I'll confess something to you. Even the name on that, too, I think the Argentine Pampas had their say. They needed the name of a pope of tradition, but also the first pope who opened the church to the modern world, the one of Rerum Novarum. Who broke the deadlock? I asked with invasive curiosity. So you don't understand. There was never an impasse. The other votes were only a few votes short. Only then, to put an end to the matter immediately, did Bergoglio's most trusted cardinal, Cardinal Holeric, coincidentally in charge of the Synod, Bergoglio's brainchild, take action. Holeric set things straight, and Parolin at that point declared his willingness to be elected. So it was a landslide, 107 votes. I believe poor Erdogan even asked not to be voted for again, but the hardline traditionalists had figured out the game and only wanted to represent their dissent. In short, only those who made a mistake didn't vote for Provost. And so he burst into loud, liberating, and therefore also a little raucous laugh. And your position, your eminence, how were you positioned? I've been on Provost's side since the beginning. I know him and I share Bergoglio's logic. He's the best choice, certainly less flashy, but we need someone who can consolidate Francis's shoulders. We need a Paul VI who can reassure and confirm. Prevost is a worthy person, very serious, available, and a missionary at heart. I've only one doubt about his physical condition. The Pope's workload is terrible, but you'll see he'll be able to organize himself around this too. Regarding John the 23rd, a distinguished theologian, Hannah Ardent, wrote of him a Christian on the throne of Peter. I think this expression could also be applied to Francis, while Leo, one could say a priest on the throne of Peter. In short, that's what needed. That's what's needed in a historical period like this. Well, of course, also a geographical political choice. Exactly. Think about the relationship between an American Pope and Trump. They were also they were also ready to cry third world scandal with the election of an Asian or worse, or an African. The Argentine Jesuit had thought of that too and fooled them. Bergoglio was a genius. Yes, but now, if I understand correctly, everything is on ice. The whole dynamic set in motion by the Bergoglian revolution has ground to a halt, I objected. Quite the opposite. Bergoglio has realized he had reached the breaking point. In fact, he didn't push any further on priestly celibacy, female priesthood, and other issues that could have been a subject of doctrinal controversy for centuries. Now it's a matter of consolidating the space he occupied until the next pontiff, who will likely be an African, will take a further decisive step forward. You'll see that after Leo, there will be a John the 24th, he said, smiling. And then the Synod, that will be the spirit of Bergoglio that will remain in the church to watch over her. And then they reference Rome today. So, my thoughts on the matter. Well, I have to point out, if you look at Rome today, there's no source for this, right? It doesn't appear that there's a source for this. From what I could tell, this originated with Rome today. Now, if I'm mistaken about this, please let me know. I can't find anybody else who has this or was the originator of these claims other than Rome today. To me, it looks like almost some fan fiction writing of a scenario that has never happened. We've seen this actually pretty often. If that's the case, we've seen that very often. In fact, I even did a whole experiment on this channel. Y'all remember Our Lady of Monroe? I actually told people up front, hey, this is satire. Hey, this is not real. And then went on to give an alleged situation of a discussion between a person and the Virgin Mary. And it fed into all of the conspiracy theories in the Catholic Church right now. And despite explicitly telling people up front, this is satire, I still had numerous people say they believed it. And so I still did another follow-up video saying, you guys are proving my point. I explicitly told you this is satire. This is not real. And you guys are still taking it seriously. That's the problem. And I said the most wild things in there, like ancient aliens are running the church and wild things that would just show you I'm not being serious. And again, I even tell people up front, this is satire. It's not real. People still believed it. A lot of people still believed it, despite even telling people in the comment section, every single commenter, hey, this is satire. You're proving my point. People don't think critically. They don't pay attention to the context. They don't read disclaimers. They don't see where you explicitly tell them in the context that this is satire. It proved my point about how media works in many cases. Somebody says something that tickles people's ears and is what they want to hear, no matter how ridiculous, and they'll believe it regardless of what the context is, regardless of what else is said. It proved my point. I suspect this is another one of those cases where somebody's just writing some kind of fan fiction, and people are some people are starting to believe it. Others have rightly questioned, hey, where's the source for this? One person just responded and said, oh, it was just made up in a dream. Jokingly, pointing out the fact that, yeah, this is just all made up. So just kind of be aware of this stuff. It's out there. There are people who will make claims unless they have a source for it. Take it with a grain of salt. Perhaps this person has a source and they can reveal who it is, and then we can discuss it further and analyze it further. Until then, it doesn't appear to be authentic to me, in my estimation, for whatever that's worth. So, hey, I want to hear from you. Put your thoughts there in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. See you later. Hey, if you enjoyed that video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button. And also consider supporting me on Patreon, patreon.com/reason and theology.